At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Well, it's Monday morning in Lagos. Good morning and welcome to the show. I am Nifemi Oguntoye, standing in for the regular host on this show, the veteran Yori Folari, who is currently on vacation. So get used to my face. You might be seeing it for a few days till he returns. It's 4 days to Christmas, and perhaps we thought for the love of holidays, COVID-19 will give the world a break. But this has proven to be nothing but an illusion. With the report of a new variant of coronavirus, you must have heard that there's a new variant discovered in the UK. We're told that that variant of the virus is spreading fast and is now out of hand. According to UK health officials, this is some bigger form of trouble than what we have come to know about the COVID-19. This has also prompted an increased number of countries now halting flight in and out of the UK. Countries like the Netherlands, Republic of Ireland, France, Italy, Belgium, and the list is increasing by the hour. The big question is, should Nigeria join now or wait like it waited during the first wave? We'll find out more about the second wave in just a moment. Let me introduce my guest to you. Dr. Japhet Olugbogi is Chairman, Committee on Infectious Diseases, Nigeria Medical Association, Lagos Branch, and he is also Medical Officer of Health for APAPA LCD. Good morning and thank you for coming.
Good morning, Otumba.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a joke. The Otumba actually is not in the name.
Well, it's sticking already.
It's all right. I'll take it for this morning. So last week, Nigeria recorded its first 1,000 cases of COVID-19 per day. And the actual figure for Thursday last week, according to NCDC, was 1,145, thereabouts. So the agency is saying the increase in the number of infected persons signals the start of a second wave of the infection. Why is that so? Is this something that was meant to be, or there was a relapse on our part?
Well, I think it's a bit of both because when we opened the airspace a few months ago, we predicted, the public health physicians and the experts in the fight against COVID-19 predicted that there might be a second wave because we have new and different variants of the virus all over the world. What you have in the US is different from that in the UK, and what we have in Nigeria was different from what we have in even some African countries. So when you open the airspace and people begin to travel and mingle and all that, you are bound to have a new variant, cross-cutting, moving from one country to the other and all that. And then when that happens, you are bound to have an increasing number of people getting the virus.
Public perception was that we have seen the end of COVID, and
absolutely,
everyone seemed to have relaxed, and we've seen a skyrocketing in non-compliance with guidelines from religious organizations to even social gatherings and the rest. But you can't blame people. They've been at home since March.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I was a very, very strong voice against all that then. In fact, I remember coming on TV so many times and warning us against opening the airspace, warning us against, opening the churches and mosques and all that. In fact, I was on loggerhead with the bishop. So our social values and sentiments, we, added them to this fight against COVID-19. And that's what is pushing us where we are right now. With all the noises we made, with all the jingles, with all the social communication, a lot of people still don't believe that the virus was real in Nigeria until apparently a lot of people, a lot more people started dying of recent. Even as we speak, some people are still, skeptical about whether the fight is real, whether the virus is real, whether it's actually even in Nigeria or the government is just throwing figures out there. So I think it has to do with our social orientation and cultural values and all that.
So let us look at the figures and identify really how dangerous the virus is. I think there are over 70,000 cases in Nigeria as we speak.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, a little over 1,000 people have died.
Yes.
The figure is 8,434, and thankfully 68,303 people have been discharged. And just last night, 501 new cases were also confirmed. But really, if you look at the mortality rate, the argument of some people is there are even more diseases that appear to be more deadly and to have claimed more lives. So what is the noise all about?
Yes, you can't claim so. There are some diseases, a handful of diseases that are more deadly, that appear to be more deadly than the COVID-19. But then again, those diseases may not be easily transmissible than COVID-19. So what we are saying is that if you have a virus that has the potential of spreading to everyone, wherever, and you don't know the outcome, the exact outcome you're going to likely have in an individual, then you have to take precautions.
So I get
you have to be wary.
The logic is that if 700,000 people are infected, that's likely going to impact on the mortality figure.
Definitely.
The more the infection,
the more the mortality. And then don't forget that it's not everyone that dies in Nigeria that we actually were able to capture as a COVID-19 case. For instance, a prominent Nigerian, a Rotarian, died a couple of days back, and he wasn't diagnosed as a COVID-19 case until he died, because the result didn't come in until he died, and autopsy also revealed that it was due to COVID-19. So some people die and they're not able to get tested before they died. So if they didn't get tested, that would not have been captured.
And that's also another very important issue. When you look at the figures, ramping up the test is perhaps one of the biggest measures we've seen used by developed countries of the world. Lagos, for instance, recently surpassed a 3,000 tests per day mark. Yes. But if you look at the total figure, it's 197,000 tests done.
I can tell you categorically that we're still not testing enough.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Not because we don't now have the facility, or because people are not turning up for testing. There was a time the government didn't have enough capacity to test, and we came on social media, came on TV, to urge the government, to encourage the government to ramp up testing, to provide the capacity. Now there is capacity.
But when you say there is capacity, the way I understand it is that Lagos, the free test in Lagos is for people who are showing symptoms.
Oh yeah, you can say that.
The only way to ensure that the virus doesn't spread fast is to get majority of the population tested. Look at the figures. 25% of the total tests done is in Lagos, and Lagos has only done 197,000. Compare that to the 20 million population. So we're really far behind with testing.
But we have test centers free, where people are not coming.
For people who are showing symptoms.
Not just that. We're not turning anybody back. I want centers, and we're not turning up.
Anybody can appear.
We'll assess them, yes. We will assess them. Let anybody turn up. If you feel you have symptoms, if you feel you've been exposed unduly, we will test them.
For free?
For free. But people are not turning up.
It's all right. So, because people who travel out now, I understand, have to take the test.
That's a different issue entirely.
And they are paying through their nose to make the test happen. So how do you correlate these?
Now, the issue with people who travel out is that the government and CDC is trying to curtail individuals bringing in different strains of the virus. And because of that, they mandated that if you must travel to Nigeria, you have your test done house before you come into Nigeria. When you come into Nigeria, before you come into Nigeria, pay for another test to do, carry out on the 7th day when you arrive in Nigeria, to ensure that no individual with the virus in Nigeria. But my experience, personal experience is that maybe the government is not enforcing it enough, or people are not complying, because not everyone who travels to Nigeria actually pays for that test, or carries that test out. So for free.
So we had Lagos talking about the second wave and the measures that have to be put in place. Just over the weekend, we understand that the nightclub was raided by security agencies, flouting, the compliance order. Yeah. It is very challenging, because I heard the governor's speech talking about Christmas, and that the fact that Christmas is all about sacrifice, so Lagosians should be ready to sacrifice. But let's talk about compliance and how difficult compliance might be. Many Lagosians, for instance, are agitated about, another lockdown. We had the state government, say that is
even the government is agitated about another lockdown.
That is not feasible economically for us now.
Yeah, it's not actually.
But how do we ensure compliance beyond just shutting down? Because we can't shut down all nightclubs in Lagos. It's not very likely that we have the police to do that. How do we ensure compliance, or perhaps self-compliance to people beyond enforcement?
We all need to take responsibility. You see, we can't afford another lockdown. And I don't think any individual will even lose more than the government when we have another lockdown. So even the government cannot afford to have another lockdown. But then again, government has to ensure the protection of lives and safety of lives of our citizens. So they have to do whatever they can do or whatever they do to ensure that happens. But when people are not complying, when the citizens are not complying, I think that's where the government loses the big stick I think of locking down. So in order to avoid that, we all need to take responsibilities. So when they say wash your hands or wear your face mask, even out there, we go out there, even this month, people not wearing their face mask. So we're taking responsibility. We all need to take responsibilities. We all need to protect. Okay, for instance, most of the people who have the virus, especially in Nigeria, are young people. Now these young people are probably asymptomatic, or even if they show symptoms, they won't come down disease, or they won't die of the disease, but they pass it on to those vulnerable, yes, around them. And what happens, we are not responsibility.
Let us break responsibility down, because I heard government urge people not to travel for Christmas celebration to avoid the spread. What precisely would you recommend people to do at this time, as a responsible citizen who is ensuring that the virus doesn't spread?
Well, for one, sacrifice. I know a lot of people would like to, see their loved ones, be with their loved ones and all that. But then again, if you think, we may be looking at the figure that it's 1,200 and something that have died. We don't see anyone that's just. Even if you can't say it's half of that, lots was medicine. Imagine that one death, it's in your family. Imagine that one death is it's somebody close to you, or even girlfriend. So it's a lot, you see. So we all need to sacrifice one or two things, sacrifice one or two social gatherings that we may be planning to organize.
But if you have to
planning to attend,
since there is no ban on traveling yet, what
if
are we supposed to do?
If you have to travel, then you ensure that if you're in a car by yourself, you probably don't need to wear a face mask. But if you're in a car with 1, 2, 3 more people, you all need to wear your face masks. And then, allow ventilation.
The wearing of face mask is a very complex concept because people wear it differently.
Fantastic. Now, wearing face masks, there are different ways people wear face masks these days. But only one way to wear the face mask. You should cover your nose and your mouth at all points in time, especially when you're in the car. If you are yourself and you're sure you don't tell anyone, no one is anything, you can't leave yourself with the face mask. And you pull the face mask, please completely put your fingers into the tongues and remove the face mask and keep it somewhere. Not hang the face mask on your chin, not over your head, not sideways. That way, if you wear the face mask that way, you're going to
not below your nose and all the rest.
Yeah, not below your nose, and not just on your mouth. It has to cover your mouth and your nose at the same time. And especially when you speak, public speaking, you need to wear your face mask. When you are in a gathering of people, you need to wear your face mask.
So we're going to get back to Lagos and Nigeria, but just yesterday we saw a growing number of European countries on Sunday halting flights from the UK following the discovery of a new variant of the virus, which according to officials spread faster than others. Now, flights from UK has been cancelled as new UK officials say that this new variant is out of control. The new strain of coronavirus has also prompted the UK government to impose what they call a Tier 4 lockdown in London and southeastern England, and also tightening restrictions for all of England over the festive period. That's according to Health Secretary Matt Hancock. So we see countries following suit: Italy, France, Ireland, Belgium, Netherlands. I also heard someone on Twitter yesterday say that Nigeria had better shut down its airspace to London, given the volume of traffic that we experienced during U-time. People still hold the grudge that we did not lock down the airspace early enough.
Yeah, I was one of the advocates that we should have locked down the airspace very early because it was one of our greatest undoings in the case, in the fight against COVID-19, because a lot of people brought the virus here. And you see, Europeans, they could be proactive when it comes to things like this.
Are you suggesting suspend out of London now? I mean, from the United
It's a difficult decision to make, but that's what you should do. If Italy, Spain, and all of them, banning flights in and out of London, I mean, why can't we? I know we have Nigerians who are that, but now let's all protect ourselves.
There are many people who are banking on a dead person, on a brother or sister who is
I can relate to that.
But let's get back to Lagos and look at the figures very quickly. We're told that out of 100 tests, an average of 10 returned positive.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to fix my earpiece very quickly. Okay, so an average of 10 returned positive, and that's an increase of 5 per 100 recorded in September. But thankfully, that is still lower than our peak in August, which was between 20 and 30 per 100. Do you expect this figure to rise? We are
going to get there. We are going to get to the figures of August if we don't do something fast. Yes, if we don't, observe those social preventive measures. We're going to get to the figures. We see we had 1,212 or 1,120 or so. We had 920 already. Lagos had 459 in one day, and that's even when testing is not optimal. I keep saying that. So imagine a lot more people who feel they should get tested, who show some symptoms, actually go get tested. What do you think the figure will be?
Well, so this is the interesting thing here is also the fact that, you are saying on live television now that anybody can walk to any of the centers to test.
I think we are at that point where if you feel you should get tested, you should come around. We will assess you and see if you need to get tested or not.
So what happens?
Because as it is, it's not only about symptoms. It's also about people being exposed. People have been exposed in parties, in churches, in mosques, in some gatherings, and so if we actually break the cycle of transmission, we should test those who have been exposed.
I remember that there are 4 centers in Lagos that are done free. Do you know any of them? You said
no, there are far more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, those 4 centers you're talking about are the federal centers. That's the Looms, IDH, which is a Lagos center, NIMA. But you have centers in all the 57 estates in Lagos.
At a local
government level. So like I mentioned, I operate one of them. I have my staff, some of my colleagues on point as we speak. If I call now, how many have you done this morning? They'll tell me that's all now.
So it has the capacity to test how many people?
No, we can collect as many samples as we can. We transmit those samples to IDH, where they actually run the test. And the same applies to all the 57 LGAs and LCAs. I know 1 or 2 of them may, complain of logistics and all that, but we can encourage the state government to empower them so that they can actually carry out these tests promptly as well, so that people can get tested. We need to start testing again. We need to start testing people again.
I assume now.
Yes.
There's someone now who would like to visit. You want to give them the address?
Yeah, our center is at number 2, Adekunle Dean Street, Orile-Igam, Sami Primary Center.
So I heard the Secretary of the Federation, who doubles as chairman of the PTF on COVID-19, talk about the fact that Nigerians in diaspora will not get enough, or rather, hope offered by the arrival of the vaccine is still some time ahead. Right now, we have the Pfizer, BioNTech, there is the Moderna vaccine, the very controversial Sputnik 5 in Russia is also on the table. How soon do we expect to see these vaccines in Africa? That is one. Now, the other side to it is the controversy and conspiracy theory that has, clouded these vaccines. Do you think that Nigeria, for instance, will have the capacity to scientifically prove that this vaccine is good, for people?
Yes, I think you asked about many questions in one. And I did an interview on Kenya channels, BC, and that was all we talked about was about the vaccine. We can't say a lot about the vaccine, but first of all, I can answer the question as to whether when the vaccine can, get to Nigeria or Africa. That's a big call for someone like me. But then again, I'm quite sure. I don't even think the DG and CDC can actually answer that question for you. But then again, what we can say is that we should put pressure on the government to make plans to procure the vaccines.
Let me hold you for a minute to take this caller from Abia State. Okurafo has called in from Aruchuku. Good morning, Okurafo.
Honestly speaking, this issue of second lockdown or second rapid of coronavirus in the whole world, including Nigeria, is short. What I'm just suggesting is that to the federal government, people should go back to the ABC of preventive methods. All this washing of hands, sanitizer. My own question, like what our guest just said about the religious thing. Please, I'm not taking all religious leaders, whether Muslims or Christians. Nobody should enter any worship center without face mask and what? Sanitizer. If your religion can do that, let them provide at least sanitizer. Addition of washing of hands. Do you know that 80% of religion they have scrapped up all this of washing of hands, which is not healthy for Nigeria. Now, the whole world is now on facility period. Locking down now in Nigeria is very, very hard. What is very, very hard? We know what happened at the first phase of locking down, how the people felt, and the repercussion of that phase lockdown. I'm not appealing to the federal government. Let the local government authorities and the state government authorities go back now to the national orientation and educate Nigerians on the ABC of the COVID-19 prevention. Because that's the only solution. Because if you come down to lockdown now, it will be very, very more disastrous for us now in Nigeria because hunger is ravaging the whole country. And frustration is ravaging the whole country. And depression is also ravaging the whole country. Now, coupled with the students are already in the houses, they have not gone back to school. You see the level of frustration. So to lock down the second phase, I'm just pleading to the federal government, they should think twice.
I believe you made your point. Thank you, Mr. Kura, for your contribution on the program. So it's one thing to remind the people of the ABCs. Personal opinion, I think people know what to do. You know,
I think so too.
Wash your hands, keep social distance, do not attend crowded places, use face mask if you have to go out. But it's just being able to keep up and comply.
But
you know,
we'll keep on reinforcing it. That's what we call positive reinforcement. So we keep on saying it, keep on urging people, we keep on begging if we have to beg. Because if we all wear our face masks, we are all safe. Within 1 month, we'll all be safe. If we can all wear our face masks.
let's get back to the issue of vaccination very quickly. So you mentioned that we cannot tell when these vaccines are going to arrive in Africa,
because it's a lot of logistics, it's a lot of money. The vaccine is very expensive. I don't know if Nigeria has that kind of money right now. And apart from that, we have an issue of storage. Some of these vaccines, we need to get special storage freezers for them. I don't know if those freezers are even available in Nigeria.
But Dr. Jaffet, it is one thing to get the vaccines in Nigeria. It's another thing to get people to receive the shot.
Oh, yes.
You have to have a system that can convince people that this is not the Antichrist or whatever of that conspiracy theory
5G.
or 5G that has come up in recent
times.
Yes,
like I said earlier on, there are so many issues surrounding the vaccines, so many controversies. A lot of people are skeptical about it. A lot of people feel they want to use it to colonize us afresh or some sort of things. A lot of people think they want to put chips in our bodies. But then again, it's been proven that the vaccine actually works. Despite all irregularities and all the...
But I'm just trying to say that, do you agree that there's a need to locally confirm, all of
yes,
these...
we need to. We need to, yes. And we have the capacity to do that. I strongly believe that we have the capacity to do that.
Let's take another caller from Alimosha. Reverend Dominic, good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
Good to hear from you again. Please go ahead with your contribution.
I guess your guest is an expert this morning. I would like him, if he can answer this question to me. Your guest an expert. He should give us this breakdown. Every nation in the whole world has 200 people. They have not 150 people. We are more than 150. We don't know, but let's say we are more than 150 million. I don't believe we have tested 1.5 million Nigerians all over Nigeria. Now, in that issue, who is mismanaging the COVID-19? I don't think it's the people. It's the government. If you have managed to test a lot of people, we could have arrested this situation because, to my own understanding, as an illiterate in medicine, what is killing the white is not what's killing in Africa here. But we have mismanaged it. Today, we have not tested up to 1.5 million people. How do we say there's a first and second, wave? That's the first wave in Nigeria. There's no second wave in Nigeria. The wave that are suffering is the one we mismanage when we lock down. Till now, Lagos is over 2 million people. Lagos supposed to take about 34 million people today and will become free. The mismanagement of this COVID-19 from government side may cause trouble, if not God with us. Please let us just help us to tell us how many nations in the world are still only around with 1 million people over 1 year of testing. And the power to overcome this trouble or to overcome this success is about testing, to know who is sick or who is not sick. But we're not testing here. What we use our money to do, of course, Nigeria factor. Why we don't have water here? Why we don't have light here? Please let us help us. Thank you.
All right, so the issue of mismanagement of COVID fund, it's not even an allegation that is limited to Nigeria. If you follow continental stories, South Africa has its share. African people just are very concerned when there are monies flying around, especially from international organizations. But that is beyond the scope of this conversation because we cannot prove any mismanagement.
And then I don't even think
Reverend seemed to have made a point, because we have to round up now, about testing more.
Yes.
I mean, if Lagos has only done 197,
which I already made as well, which I already emphasized as well.
Yes, then we perhaps have to do more. Is it a question of spending more? Because there were news about international collaboration in this regard in the past. Yes,
absolutely. Most of what we've done has to stem from international collaborations from NGOs. So these partners have resorted. And we can say there's been some mismanagement, some mistakes, but then it's not pointless. We need to take responsibility. I don't think it's time for us to be meticulous.
Thank you, Dr. Japheth Ulubugi, Chairman, Committee on Infectious Diseases, Nigeria Medical Association, Lagos Branch, Officer of Health LCDA. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll turn our attention to security. We're still looking at Katsina, and I'm sure, as you're aware, a fresh abduction took place this Saturday. And we'll tell you more about that when we return. Stay well. All right, let's talk about the abduction in Katsina. With so many different accounts, of course, recall that 2 Fridays ago, the shocking news of over 300 boys abducted in Kankara made headlines. And it's also a very sad reminder of what transpired 6 years ago somewhere in Chibok, northeast Nigeria, where some girls were also abducted. Good news is that the boys are back. But just this Saturday, we're also told that security operatives had to also come to the rescue of some 80 Islamia students who were abducted also in Katsina. I'm joined by Akinkumi Von Thomas, who is a security analyst and is also from the Institute of Student Affairs Management. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So, what do you make of between December 11 and 19 thereabout, just 8 days interval? There's also another abduction, thankfully another rescue in the same state.
Generally, now we're all skeptical about a lot of things. What is true is actually not sure. Let me speak from the professional angle, because while I was coming, I was telling myself, I'm not going to fall into the bracket of what is on, what is news, but let me come from my angle, my profession. For us as a security experts, that's what we call psychological warfare. Okay. It's ongoing now in the sense that depending on who has propaganda, I want to present a picture. So things are going on in this country and we're not rising up to it. You say 80, some are saying 30, they just give an admission to all that. And they're saying on the way, in the same Castina, some bandit came out where it was not expected, and because they saw operatives, they disappeared. Now, I want to bring 3 things to factor. Islamia is from a religious angle. When you say psychological warfare, in kidnapping, that is a strength. Because if I want to send propaganda out, I have to frame it in a way that the audience and me, the media, will dance to our tune to send apprehension to the people we intend. I don't know if I'm communicating with you. And in psychological warfare, the end is more important than who is casualty. So right now, it's not about who is at lost, as in the children being attacked, because we security are asking. This is not anti-land. This is a community where ongoing there are security situations. Right. So for you to just tell us, it's not a joke to match 300 children out of a place in a place.
But that's right. It's first time it's happening.
So I'm telling you, let's look beyond an immediate situation and the news that is going around. Let's ask ourselves, because as an expert myself, I'm feeling the apprehension in the air. I'm looking at politics, I'm looking at religion, I'm looking at the ignorant masses.
All right, let us stick with theory for a minute and look at the Kankara abduction, for instance.
Okay.
I doubt if we can tell for certain the terms that were used to negotiate the release. That's also beyond the scope of this conversation, because we cannot tell.
Yes.
But let us talk about the implication of such intelligence on the fight against banditry. You know, some people over the years have had to argue, you know, that you don't negotiate with terrorists. And then on the other side, there are people who would tell you that the life of a single Nigerian is so important that if all you need to do is go down on your knees to beg, you need to make it happen. What is the implication of this strategy on the ongoing fight against insecurity by the Nigerian government?
But when you say strategy, let me speak as a civilian. I don't feel there's any strategy going on to protect us from all the kidnapping issues, because it's just growing. It's becoming broad. And you know, the funny part of it is it happens, it closes, and everybody's quiet again. And something else comes up. It's like acting a film. That's happening now. And the joke of it is the security of the nation. Do we actually have security? Because these things, we have drones, we have ICT approach to these things. We have map approach to know where people are, how we can get who the people are, we can fish them out, and the number of people are moving up and about. Let's assume nothing about security. I'm asking myself, are we in this country? Is there a leadership? Is there security? If there is, and we have a map of where we stay. These people are not in the air. They're on land. And they're letting us, they appear, they disappear. You concerning how the trend, how do we see this kidnapping? How is it going in the nation for now? For me, it has become a joke.
Let me call your attention to the headline of Daily Sun this morning. Army police fight over rescue of 84 students in Katsina. Even though the press release I read from the police mentioned that there were 80 students and 4 other people were abducted before the 80 students, and that was what made it 84. But some of the points here, we rescued 39 students, that's from the soldiers. We worked with vigilantes to rescue students, that's coming from the police. And, you know, FG builds resettlement cities for IDPs in Katsina and the rest. Earlier in the year, the president and the presidency called the attention of the need to collaborate amongst security agencies. You know, I think there was even, you know, a seminar to that effect, you know, bringing them together to identify the need to work together for the common goal of securing the country. How do you think that has fared, given this recent update from Katsina?
Can I connect a little bit of this SARS effect on this issue?
All right. Please go ahead.
Security for now, if they get offensive and I want to run out to complain there is an issue, I already have a problem with when I get to the police station. I don't forget what we see and what they are saying socially, on media or wherever, also again, working. The psychological approach to it, when I get to the station, the two of us are laughing at us. You're running now, you know what happened recently, and you want to report to me, they've kidnapped so person. Now you're saying, as a police officer, following with a truck, carry some men with you, and begin to run into the same society where socially, psychologically, we are not even accepted. That is out. It's in the air. So where do we run to when it comes to this abduction issue?
But there has to be some sense of optimism somewhere in there, because the police, for instance, seem to have come out to do a lot. You know, in, for instance, scrapping the end. Not many people believe in what the police has done, but we have seen some efforts. For instance, we reported a story in Osun State where, you know, the former members of SARS were brought in for re-evaluation. They went through some program to integrate them back into the force. Are you saying that there is nothing at all to hold on to when it comes to believing in the security architecture in the face of insecurity as we are facing now in Nigeria, especially for the people?
I recommend that beyond the news and promises, we need to bring out the plan to the layman to understand it's secure, because if we don't know we're secured, even what is available for us out there, we will not relate with it. And managing ourselves. What that means is, regardless of what effort has been put out, if it is not reaching the public, that it is in peace, don't admit. As I'm coming here, just a release of a boy, it's like 2 a.m. 2 a.m. It's been for 4 days. And I have to be meeting with the kidnappers that we don't know who they are now. When they released him, you don't know.
Which part of the country is that?
That's you. It's
All
a
right.
copper.
Let's start into the two lines. Judge has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
The rate of insecurity in the country, is such that I am of the view that the president is not taking this matter as seriously as he should. The representatives of Nigerians are the National Assembly members. I don't subscribe to the idea that the president should not address the members of the National Assembly. The way things are going, if the president not put those, all of us will die before, what's happening. If the minister or the attorney general is telling the president not to go to the National Assembly, I'm suggesting that the National Assembly should summon the president. I don't see the basis why it should not be questioned by the people's representatives on insecurity that is almost killing everybody. The PDP members cannot impeach him. They don't have the number to do it. But they should be given the opportunity, since his party members are not likely to be hostile to him. Let the opposition members question him and let him give answers. That's not his thing. It's part of democracy. So that will put him on his toes. I'm not impressed by the way and manner security issues are being handled. They need to be handled more seriously than it is being done now. It's lives. We are talking about lives. This way, I'm reading in the newspapers that 80 children were rescued by the military 2 days ago. We didn't know that those 80 children were in the hands of criminals before. And we don't know how many may still be in their hands. Kidnapping every day? Oh, no. There has to be seriousness on the matter.
Well, indeed, there has to be seriousness on the matter. Judge, thank you for calling. Let's talk about some other solutions that we've heard from people in government. He mentioned the National Assembly. Just yesterday, thereabouts, spokesman of the Senate, Dr. Bashiru Ajibola, reiterated that the Senate is working on decentralizing security apparatus to stem the tide of insecurity. There's been a lot of talks about state police and the rest. Do you think this is the way to go? Decentralization of the security infrastructure?
My head is flooding. I think the people need to know their secure, whatever approach they want to use now. 3 things are key. I'm getting straight from there. Things are key. Don't know how they can summon the president and talk openly to encourage and make people know the immediate plan they have for the nation. Number 1. Number 2, the show of force. They need a sign of show of force, because if you interview some members, you get to understand that they just found out there are lapses in security and encouraged to make it right. They're not actually people that are deeply into this issue. They're just people that are trying to make money. And they just because they feel free with security. So number 1, publicly, let's hear the agenda together. Number 2, give us a show of force that things are very okay. And because with decentralized security, you also know what you are saying about that. Let me come to play a big witness. Because you are the connection we have to what is happening. So that centralization of it, break it down, communicate it with the people, and let's see show of face of us in the community. I think one way or another.
Let me hold you for a minute. Joshua just called in from Iriwolide in Ogun State. Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, and good morning to your guests. Regards to Uncle Yori. I so much appreciate what your guest is saying this morning. It seems to be helping us to manage our emotions. I think somebody needs to be doing that from the point of government. He said there's a psychological warfare that is very, very powerful, and I hope the media will capture that. You see, when there's a psychological warfare, it is the end result that matters for those that are involved in that propaganda. They are not interested in the casualties. You know, that's why when the abduction of the Kankara thing happened, I asked, how would you move 300 and something boys? You know, this was a very big issue for me. Like, what is anybody playing out here? So now I have come to settle this matter because I have looked through everything. Not on your station, there was a station where somebody was being interviewed on security. He was asked a question. Instead of answering the question, he just went straight to sack the security chiefs or whatever. He wasn't actually looking at what he was being asked. At that point, I just picked that this is political. We have politicized security, and we will all be victims if we don't reverse that. Because it is the people that are now enjoying. I mean, the media mentioned, they have attention, they have everything everywhere. They are even getting more attention than the victims, right? And there's apprehension in town. As much as the president should do something more, we have to give it to him that he's in charge. As far as I'm concerned, if the president feels comfortable with the army chiefs he has now, he will stay with them. There's nothing anybody can do. Because if he feels that the opposition wants to bring in people that are not loyal to his government, they will pull down his government. So we need to face the issue, not politicize security. Go to the reason why things are happening the way it is and arrest the matter. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Joshua, for your contribution. So there are evidently political and religious dimensions to this, but I don't want us to explore that because it's very tricky. We're going to start making statements that we cannot prove.
Okay. And
we're also not in the mind of the president until perhaps he attends, that joint session of the National Assembly to answer some questions. Unfortunately, the Attorney General says that lawmakers do not have the right to do so. That's also been contested at many quarters. So apparently, the primary responsibility of government is security and welfare. And we cannot take away the fact that government has a huge role to play. But for a few minutes, I want us to talk about the people. And given the situation that we find ourselves in, how should they act? What can they do? Especially at a time where you particularly are not convinced about the kind of confidence that the people have in security forces. But security agencies will still tell you that without intelligence, they cannot do their job. So they still need a level of relationship to exist between them and the people to give them the information and the intelligence required to act on.
Let me replay. If we're concerned about the people and want to bring security into play, let's leave how we feel and our biases aside. What I want to re-emphasize about psychological warfare is, right now, the layman assumes every abduction that is going on, every kidnapping, has to do with a stage play, a drama towards politics. To clear that air, the things he has to come out, speak categorically about things that he has put in plan to be played out, and people will begin to see the action in town. The layman becomes less apprehensive. It's a simple thing. It's like I say, I'm from Dada religion, and somebody claims Dada religion is committing a crime. If I'm in that Dada religion and I'm one of the high priests, I should first come out and say, in Dada religion, we don't do this. We deny the fact of this. When you do that, number one, you brought the power of propaganda down.
I'm going to hold you again. Garba from Makodi in Benue State. Good morning, Garba.
Good morning for having me. Thank you very much for having me, give me the opportunity. Let me hear my opinion. You see, the experts, the analysts, the security experts, they have said it all. Honestly, it happens that I'm from Dar Alvis, but I'm living in Benue State. The fact is that, honestly, our religion leaders, our political leaders, our community leaders from that region are not doing well to us. To be candid, to be honest, as he said, I expect our religious leaders to come out and a Muslim categorically and condemn this nonsense, this barbaric attitude. It's not in Islam. You don't get any way in Islam. It's not Islam. No religion that will want you to kidnap someone, to keep him and stab him for no reason. Even with reason, you don't have that right, moral right. It's against Islam. Deprive any woman, not even woman, animal, deprive him with his freedom. It's against Islam. And I want our religious leaders to come out categorically and preach against this nonsense. Thirdly is that Allah, Fulani leaders in Nigeria should come out whenever they would do either with Jungle with Fulani language to condemn this act. I'm sorry to say it. If you hear the interview that they interviewed those children, then even TBC interviewed one of the boys that was leading the video, He said it categorically. He said that's planning boys, that's small boys. That physical combat outside without any weapon. You don't think that they can fight him. But because they have position of AK-47 rifle, they can kidnap someone for ransom and keep him into hostage for some day.
Garba, we have to end it there. Thank you very much for calling and sharing your thoughts with us. We also have to wrap this conversation. So let me just have your final thoughts. He has brought in the role of traditional rulers, which was emphasized by the presidency recently, about the critical role they must play in ensuring that their communities are safe. How do you see them achieving this?
What he's saying, if I take it from what I'm also saying, two things are apparent now. Every anti-kidnapping agency we have, they need to up the game, number one. Number two, every leader that is either politically, religiously, community-wise, connected to every issues as it has to be kidnapping, needs to stand up. When you advocate what people are using as strength for their kidnapping, you remove power from their hand. So it makes everything easy, and everybody begins to work in this fight together. That's how it is.
Akivon Thomas, security analyst, is also with the Institute of Student Affairs Management. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Well, that's our show today. Thanks for being a part of it. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting one. Stay with us.